Mr Chair. I'd like to concur with my colleague Stuart Nash in terms of this, renaming this bill the Broken Promises Bill. This bill is a little bit like one of those sugary drinks that you have. It looks good, it tastes good, and then when you've had it you sort of think, actually, this isn't so good for me after all. Because it really isn't so good for you after all. Because as David Cunliffe just said, you add up your tax that you're supposedly getting back in this budget, and then you add in the 6% inflation, and you add up the ACC, the car registration, the Auckland tax increases that you're going to be imposed upon you in terms of rates because we're making such a mess of the Auckland super city. Add in the tobacco tax, add in the power prices, and then of course because the interest rates have gone up, because the inflation rate's gone up, you are now going to have interest rates go up, and what do you have? You have a rather uncomfortable feeling that maybe you've just been had. It'll take a couple of days to sort of work through. It'll take a couple of days to work through, but as my colleague Clayton Cosgrove said before, we know what it's like. You put your budget down, you get plaudits saying, yes, it's a good budget, and after 2 or 3 or 4 days, the real oil comes out, and suddenly you realise that actually you're not so good after all. But I just wanted to touch on another aspect of this budget and what this budget really doesn't address at all. It only mentions agriculture once or twice. It doesn't look at the productivity of this country, and the productivity is based on our savings rates, for example. And we look across the Tasman at Australia. Australia's employers' contribution have just gone from 8% to 12%.
We're on parts 1 and 2.
Sorry, beg your pardon, Mr Speaker.
No, clauses 1 and 2, my apologies. Clauses 1 and 2.
So the title of this debate, the Broken Promise, should be renamed, I believe, the Broken Promises Bill. And let me tell you about one other broken promise then, Mr Chair. The promise that was made in 2008. In 2008, the government, the National Party said that they were going to double the amount of R&D currently, double the rate of R&D. So what have we got today? We've got half the rate of R&D that they promised in 2008. Half the rate. Not only that, but they took away the 15% tax credit that the Labor government had already put in place. So that's why I believe that this is called the Broken Promises Bill, Mr Chair. It is not a bill as we've heard, but a Broken Promises Bill because this government has broken its promises about what they've already said. Not only have they broken their promise on not increasing GST, they have also broken their promise on increasing R&D spend. And the R&D spend that they actually came out with, $56 million a year, that $56 million a year will be paid in the form of grants and vouchers. Grants and vouchers, which means that small businesses and medium businesses have to go on their knees to government bureaucrats to ask for money in order to be recompensed for their R&D. That's what they have to do. If they'd stayed with the tax credits that Labor had already in place, they would have been able to have doubled the rate, doubled the amount of business R&D spent in this country, up it from $1 billion to $2 billion. $1 billion to $2 billion. So this bill, Mr Chair, is really aptly named the Broken Promises Bill, as my colleague Mr Nash has said, because it breaks the promises on innovation, it breaks its promise therefore on productivity, it breaks its promises on increasing GST, and it is as I say, an apt name for this bill. Thank you, Mr Chair.